Bonjour tout le monde. Bonjour, bonjour. J'espère que vous allez tous très bien aujourd'hui. Aujourd'hui, c'est jeudi. Jeudi, so we have lundi, mardi, mercredi, jeudi, the fourth day of the week. Aujourd'hui, c'est jeudi, le 16 juillet 2020. Pardon, 2020. Bon, comme j'avais dit, like I said, j'espère que vous allez tous très bien aujourd'hui, ce matin. It's a little different this morning. I'm doing my community French a little early because I have a commitment that I have to make at my scheduled time, around my scheduled time. So, yeah. J'espère que vous allez tous très bien et here's the little schedule change. But it's nothing major, so don't worry. Next week, it's going to be the same hours, so don't worry. Bon. Quel temps fait-il aujourd'hui? Quel temps fait-il? OK. Il fait du soleil aujourd'hui. Il fait beau. Il fait du soleil aussi. Oui, très bien. Bon. Aujourd'hui, je voudrais vous partager deux choses. I want to share with you two things. I want to share with you des phrases utiles. Des phrases utiles. What does that mean? Des phrases utiles. That means like useful phrases. Et aussi, je voudrais vous partager une lecture où tu peux utiliser les phrases utiles. Yeah, I want to share with you a lecture, like a reading that that uses these vocabulary words. These not really vocabulary words. These useful phrases. And the thing that's cool, I'm trying something new here. And what's cool is it is like a skit almost. And so the goal of this is you could be at home and you could have two people, and one person can read one person can read the other. And I will break down each line to tell you what each line means, so you don't have to worry about that. And it'll just be a new activity instead of just doing heavy grammar, you know. It'll just be something new. So, bon, on va commencer avec les phrases utiles et la lecture. C'est ça. Bon. Now, some of these we have looked at. Now, these phrases utiles are used within this lecture, but I want to say these because these are very important in general in French. So you could say these things on a street in France or wherever, and they will understand you without a problem. Bon. So let's start. Now, répétez après moi, s'il vous plaît. Phrase utile. Comment dit-on? Comment dit-on? How do you say? Notice my voice, it goes up because it's a question. Comment dit-on? Comment dit-on? Now, comment is a question word. That means how. Dit, I say dit, and if there was no O next to the T, like right here, this is called a liaison, where the French like things when they flow. So if there was no O, I would say dit instead of dit, you know, because if it was like something like dis-nous. If it was nous right there, the subject pronoun nous, I would say dis-nous instead of dites-nous, you know. But that would be a totally different conjugation. But anyway, so comment dit-on means how do you say? Je ne sais pas. That's a really famous one that everybody seems to know in French. Je ne sais pas. Now, if you want to speak really Parisian French or what have you, they go, je sais pas. That's how they say it. Je sais pas. I don't know. Now, remember how I told you previously, this is a rule in French when you have a conjugated verb and you want to make it negative. You take the ne pas and you put it around the conjugated verb. So firstly, how do we say I know in French? Je sais, très bien, I know. That means I know something. If you want to say I don't know something, you say je ne sais pas. Blah, blah, blah. Bon. Je ne comprends pas. Je ne comprends pas. That means I don't understand. I do not understand. I, ne pas, do not, comprends. That's the comprendre conjugated. for the verb to understand. Now, how do you say I understand? Je comprends, très bien. J'ai un problème. This one is very simple in English. You see the word problem in there. This uses the verb avoir. J'ai, you conjugate the verb avoir in the first person singular. J'ai, because it has to do with yourself. You could say something like, you could say like, he has a problem and all this stuff, and you still conjugate with avoir. You say, il a un problème, elle a un problème, nous avons un problème. But for this context, we're just using I can't speak. Sorry, the single person pronoun j'ai. J'ai un problème. J'ai une question. I have a question. These words look similar to English, so you kind of lucked out on that one with French. You know, j'ai une question. Très bien. Je dois. That means I have to or I must. Must. Très bien. Répétez s'il vous plaît. Now, this phrase is very important in French, especially since I have a different dialect of French that I know. And when I was in France, I struggled a bit, you know, because all these Parisians, they'd be speaking so fast, and I'm like, huh? I'm like, madame, répétez s'il vous plaît, répétez. You know, because it was too fast, you know, or they would be like, I'd say plus lentement, like the next one. And they would slow down for me, thank God. Grâce à Dieu, you know, oh my gosh, they would slow down because it was getting too complicated, you know. Bon, répétez s'il vous plaît. Now, répéter is the verb répéter. Répéter, it sounds the same, but just this is conjugated in the easy form, the vous form. It means to repeat. And s'il vous plaît, now, s'il, that means if you would. We have, it's S-I, mean in French means si. Si means if, and then you break it down to the subject pronoun il, because you want to say if it pleases, plaître means to please you. Repeat, please. That's what it basically means. Plus lentement, because you don't really say please to, I don't know, something else. You just say please to someone, you know. And if it was vous, and it's a group of people, you don't have to worry about to do the subject pronoun, because this can address more than one person. Plus lentement, that means slower. Slower. Lent means slow. When you add M-E-N-T, that's the equivalent of an adverb in English, like slowly, that's an equivalent. So plus lentement means slower. Bon. But plus lentement together means slower. Lentement means slowly. Encore une fois means one more time, please. Like one more time. Pardon means excuse me. You could also say excusez-moi. Pardon, excusez-moi. Like you would usually use pardon when you can't hear someone. You say pardon, madame. You know. Comment ça va? This one's a very famous one. Comment ça va? Comment ça va? That means how are you? Basically, it literally translates to how's this going? Because we have how, comment, ça, this, va, go. That's the verb to go. Bon, pas mal, that means not bad. Plutôt bien. Plutôt means like rather in French, but it translates to like pretty good. Super means great or super, basically. Qui est ce? I mean, who is it? So like you could have the phone and you could be like, allô, qui est ce? Bon. C'est, da. You could say, c'est Valérie, c'est Guillaume, c'est, I don't know, Anne, par exemple. That's how you can say like it. Or you can say, je m'appelle. Voici mon ami. Or you could say, voici mon ami here. This is to show that it's a girl, and this is to show it's a guy, even though it ends in an E, and like usually in French, the demonstrative adjective, not the demonstrative, the possessive changes. Mon ami, right? This doesn't change. For some reason, mon ami, it stays the same. Il, elle s'appelle, his or her name is. Basically, this translates to he or, he, she calls him or herself, basically, because we have it reflexive with the s'appelle, which means to do to oneself. Est-ce que tu aimes? Est-ce que tu aimes? Do you like? Est-ce que tu aimes le football? We're going to learn that down below. That means do you like? Aimer is the verb to like. Est-ce que is how you form a question in French. There's a few ways you can form a question in French. You could do inversion, which means like you flip the subject and the verb around. So like, ah, tu aimes le football? You can say, tu aimes le football avec your voice, with your voice. Or you can say, est-ce que tu aimes le football? J'aime. That means I like. J'aime beaucoup. I like a lot. That's when you want to emphasize a lot. Je n'aime pas. I don't like. Remember how I told you previously? You take the ne pas and you put it around the conjugated verb. That's to signify that you don't like something. Now, le sport is sports. And notice there's no S, even though it's plural, even though it looks like even though this word is plural, it's singular in French. French is funny like that. Like they consider some word singular, even though it has a plural meaning in English, or they do vice versa. Like the word for math in French is les maths, M-A-T-H-S. They consider that plural, even though it has, even though in English we say math. Le football, that's soccer. La natation, swimming. Le tennis, tennis. La course à pied, that means like running, basically. Like that basically translates to the course by foot or at foot. Pied is foot. Le baseball, baseball. Le football américain, football. Now, football is, to us, it's the football like Tom Brady, you know, but football to them is soccer. You know, I mean, if you think about it, it makes sense. Football, you know, you play the game with your foot. You don't play it with your hands, you know. So now we're going to go on to this part right here, this little ending. La musique, that's music. La danse, dance. Le théâtre, theater. La lecture, reading, like what we're going to do today. Le jeu de société, board game. Le jeu video game. Les cours, classes. La cuisine, cooking. Bon, now all these you can use every single day, and I will make these into a worksheet à plus tard, later. Bon, now let us do a petite lecture. Now, this is going to use some of the vocabulary, and I'm going to break it down for you slowly by piece by piece. Bon, here are our context. Before we get going into this, I want to make it, hold on. Here's our little context. Eric appelle Anne. Elle répond au téléphone. Eric calls Anne. She responds by telephone, by phone. Okay, so I'm going to have to be both because I don't have another person with me that can do this. So I'll be both and I'll break down each little phrase together. So Anne, allô, that means hello. Hello, that's how people answer the phone in French. They would go bonjour or they would go allô. Allô is more common than the phone. Eric, est-ce que je veux parler avec Anne? Est-ce que je veux parler avec Anne? Anne? That basically translates to, can I talk with Anne? Can I talk with Anne? Because you want to sound somewhat formal when you're on the phone, you know. So, and then Anne responds, oui, c'est moi. Qui est à l'appareil? Now that means oui, c'est moi. Yes, it's me. Who is at the phone, basically? The appareil is like the piece of the phone, like the piece, like the hand. How do we say it? Like the handheld. Qui est à l'appareil? Who is at the phone? Because remember we learned the word qui. That means who. Eric. C'est Eric, le cousin de Sophie. It's Eric, the cousin of Sophie. Now we have the de right here. De means of. Ah oui, comment ça va, Eric? Now we learned ah oui is just like, ah yes, you know. Comment ça va? What does ça va? Comment ça va mean again? We learned this previously and down below in the vocab. Comment ça va means how's it going, basically, or how are you, Eric, basically. Oh, bien, bien. Sophie dit que tu aimerais pratiquer ton anglais. Elle travaille avec moi et elle sait que je parle anglais aussi. J'aime bien parler en anglais. Okay. Now, we have a different tense here in English. I will just describe this to you briefly. French, sorry. We have a different tense in French here, not in English. I will describe to you this tense in English. So, bien, bien. It means good, good. Sophie dit que. Sophie says that. Tu aimerais pratiquer. That is the conditional. Aimerais is the conditional. That basically translates to like would like. That translates to would like. Pratiquer, practice your English. So basically that's saying that Sophie said that you would like to practice your English. That's what that is. That's the conditional tense in French. Elle travaille avec moi. She works with me. Et elle sait que je parle anglais aussi. And she knows that I speak English as well. Et elle sait, and she knows, que that je parle, I speak anglais, English aussi, also. J'aime bien parler en anglais. I like speaking English very much, or well. And oui, c'est vrai, je veux parler anglais couramment, je chante beaucoup et je dois améliorer mon anglais. Oui, c'est vrai. What does oui, c'est vrai mean? Yes, it's true. That's right. Yes, it's true. Je veux parler anglais. Now, I used this verb in my last video. No, I forget if it was my last video that no, it was a couple videos ago. I looked at the verb vouloir with you guys. So this is the verb vouloir, that means to want. It's an irregular verb, so it conjugates differently. So basically it means to want. So if you have any questions about that verb, please go look at my video. Oui, c'est vrai. Je veux parler anglais. I want to speak English couramment, couramment. Je chante beaucoup, I sing a lot, et je dois améliorer mon anglais. Je dois améliorer, I must, basically I must, or I need, not really I need, but it's like I must. Améliorer means to like improve. Je dois améliorer mon anglais. I must improve my English. Eric, moi aussi, je suis architecte et j'aimerais participer à un concours en Angleterre, mais je dois parler anglais. Moi aussi, me as well. Je suis architecte, I'm an architect, et j'aimerais, and I would like, to participate à un concours en Angleterre. Means like a concours is like a grand contest, a grand contest in England. Angleterre is England. Mais je dois parler anglais, but I must speak English. Now Anne replies, by saying, ah, c'est super, nous pouvons pratiquer l'anglais ensemble. J'arrive chez moi après le travail à 6 heures du soir. Nous pouvons rencontrer à 6h30. Okay. C'est super means like it's great. Nous pouvons pratiquer. We can practice English together. That's what that means. Nous pouvons is the verb pouvoir, which means to can or to be able to. Pouvons is conjugated in the new form, which means we can. Pratiquer is in the infinitive because we have two verbs in one sentence, and the rule is that the first verb conjugates, the second verb gets put in the infinitive. Nous pouvons pratiquer. We can practice English together. Ensemble means together. J'arrive chez moi après le travail. I arrive at my house. When you have the verb, when you have the location where chez, that means like at the house of. J'arrive chez moi après le travail à 6 heures du soir. I arrive at my house after work at 6 p.m. basically. Now they say this, or there's another way to say it. I would say it as 18 heures, but they say it like this here. Après, à 6 heures du soir, at 6 hours of the night, basically. Nous pouvons nous rencontrer à 6h30. That means we can meet each other. That's how it translates to. When you see two subject pronouns, nous et nous, after one before the verb, one after the verb, that basically means we can, like, like in this context, we can meet each other. À 6h30, at 6 hours, 30 minutes. Okay. Eric responds by saying, je peux t'appeler demain pour confirmer. I can call you tomorrow to confirm. Anne says, oui, bien sûr. Yes, of course. Eric says, parfait. À demain. Eric says, perfect. To see you tomorrow. Anne says, merci. Au revoir. So, what was the main goal of this little lecture? I mean, obviously to use these phrases utiles, but also it was to, excusez-moi, it was to see a conversation in French and to also learn about a certain subject. So in this exercise, what was Anne and Eric doing? So Eric had a concours and he wanted to practice English. Anne did as well. So they wanted to practice English as well. Anne did too. So that's why they were meeting at Anne's house at 6h30. At 6h20. Bon. Now, just to recap what we did today, we worked on some phrases utiles. I showed you some important vocabulary words. I will be making this into a worksheet, so you don't have to worry. I taught you how to say some very important questions, as well as some basic phrases that are very important in French, like je ne sais pas, je ne comprends pas, j'ai un problème, je dois, blah, blah, blah. Encore une fois, pardon. I also taught you how to say, like, how are you? Comment ça va? And then you could respond by saying pas mal, plutôt bien, super. You could say je vais bien. What you do is you don't, in French, you don't say, if someone says comment ça va, you don't say je suis bien. You don't say that. That's a no-no. You conjugate the verb avoir because it's almost like it's go. Oh no, aller, sorry. You conjugate in the verb aller because it's almost like it's going, like you're going well. So you say, oui, je vais bien, merci. I also taught you how to say like qui est-ce on the phone, like qui est-ce, oui, allô, c'est, voici mon ami, elle s'appelle, his or her name is. I asked you, do you like, est-ce que tu aimes? And then I taught you some sports, le football, la natation, le tennis, la course à pied, and then I taught you some like after school things or what have you. La musique, la danse, le théâtre, la lecture, le jeu de société, and so forth. So after we did this, we went on to a little lecture where we read it together. Now this is a fun activity. If you would like to do it with someone in your house, someone can be Anne, someone can be Eric, and you can go back and forth between the lecture. And then you can break it down. You can watch this video and you can see how I translate everything if you have a question. Bon. Okay, I think that's it for aujourd'hui because I kind of have to end it a little early today. Excuse me for that. But I hope that today's lesson was informative and I hope that you enjoyed it. And as always, as a reminder, feel free to take a peek at our website, rolalang.com, where we have where we have all our worksheets up there and we have important dates for future classes coming up, as well as we have all our resources up there. We have profiles about our teachers and so forth, like me, if you want to know more about me or what have you. So yeah, I hope today's lesson was informative and I will see you guys on mardi, la semaine prochaine. I will see you next week on Tuesday for Community French. Okay, bon, j'espère que vous passerez. I hope that you will have a great day aujourd'hui. They use the passer for to passer une bonne journée, like to have a good day, to pass a good day, basically. So, j'espère que vous passerez une bonne journée. Et si vous avez des questions, if you have any questions, n'hésitez pas à m'écrire dans les commentaires sur cette vidéo. I said, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to contact me on this video and we will go from there. OK, bon. Bonne journée à vous et merci. Au revoir.